Well, look who finally decided to upload. Yeah, that's right, I'm Nerby64, I'm back, and I'm going to be teaching you how to make Minecraft maps. We're going to learn data pack coding, we're going to learn resource art, we're going to learn sound effects and how to build big maps, and we're going to do it all by building a map together called the Adventures of Hot Guy, inspired by an absolute legend in the Minecraft community, Good Times with Scar, and I can't wait to get started with all of you. So let's jump right into coding our very first data pack. So here's what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to get into whatever coding software you like to use. I personally like Visual Studio Code. There's a link to download it in the description, but you can use whichever one you want. Once you're in there, you're going to want to follow these steps exactly. Make a folder. You can call it whatever you want. I called it MC Runner Data Pack. Then inside of that, a folder called Data. Inside of that, a folder called Minecraft. Then a folder called Tags. Then a folder called Function. Inside of that, you want Load.json and Tick.json. They should be typed exactly like this, and you can find the text down in the description. You can copy and paste it. Then, back in your data folder, you're going to want to make another folder called Runner, and another folder inside of that called Functions. And in there, you want Load.mc function and Tick.mc function. Finally, back in the original folder, you're going to want to make a file called pack.mcmeta. And this is where the data for your data pack will be stored. The pack format should be whatever version of Minecraft you're coding it. I'm coding in 1.18.2, which is pack format 10, but you can look up online whatever version you're using, what pack format it is, and change it respectively. And then the description can be whatever description you want as long as it's in quotes. And the text for this, again, will be down in the description. You'll have two functions once you've made this. You'll have load.mc function and tick.mc function. And load.mc function will be called every time your world is loaded or your resource pack is loaded or reloaded. Tick.mc function will happen every tick that your Minecraft world is active or 20 times a second. So it's basically an update function. Now, the way you code in this is you just type any command you could type in Minecraft and you don't need a slash. For example, tellraw at a text u color and then the color. So the way this works is it's going to be a tellraw command, so it's going to put it in the chat, and then it's going to be everyone to have the text be yo, and the color be white, which is 0000FF. And you can save that, and then we can get it into your world and show you that your resource pack is working. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to drag your data pack right into here, MC Runner Data Pack. And once it's in here, in your save, data packs, once it's there, you can just open up Minecraft, and go into your world, and wait for it to boot up. And once it's there, you should be greeted by, if you type /reload, which reloads the data pack, yo. So now you have created your very own data pack in the Minecraft world. It's not a very complex one, but it's there. And now we can work on making it much better. So it's now when we need to think about what we actually want our game mode to be. So this is called the Adventures of Hot Guy, and I want it to be about doing all the things Hot Guy does. Running fast, jumping high, flying around to get to the bad guy, and then defeating him with the Hot Guy bow. And so let's start with running fast. Now imagine if every time we ran over these magenta blocks, we got faster for a little bit, and we could use that to zoom around the map to try to get to the next magenta blocks. So that's what we're going to get to code. So now we can go back into our data pack coder, and as long as you're editing this in the same folder that's in the Minecraft world, all you need to do is type /reload in your Minecraft world, and it'll automatically update everything that you've changed in here. Now, the only thing we can type in here is commands that could be put in any of the 3 command blocks, but you can do a ton with that. So let's code the command we were talking about a second ago. So we're going to start with execute as @a, because @a stands for anyone, and we want this to execute for anyone in the world, not just Nerby64 or whatever your username is. So now what we want to do is we want to target it at a specific player, S for specific, and we want it to happen if the block that you are on is magenta glazed terracotta. But we don't want it to be the block that's your exact coordinates, because your exact coordinates isn't the block you're standing on, it'd be the block that's inside of you. So we want to set it to -1, because that's the block you will actually be standing on. And then we want to say, if this is the case, run effect give at p, which is the nearest player, p for nearest player, speed 3, 2. Those are some numbers that I've worked out ahead of time. You can choose whichever ones you want. It's the effect strength and the effect time, and then we want that to be true. Now if we save that and we go into our world and we type /reload, we'll get speed every time we run on the magenta blocks, and we'll get it for about 3 seconds, and then it'll go back to normal. Now this on its own could be a lot of fun. Let's say you put some parkour there and you have to do it high speed to try to get to the next speed boost. But let's say we wanted to add a little bit more. Let's say we wanted it that when we landed on the yellow terracotta, we could jump really high, up to these high banisters. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why are you using glazed terracotta? It's perhaps the most ugly block in the game, and that's true. It's exactly the reason why we're using it. We're going to code a resource pack later that's going to recolor all these blocks, but once we recolor them, we can't then use them in builds, and glazed terracotta blocks are very rarely used in the types of builds we're going to be building. So that's why we're using them, because they're the easiest ones to live without. So let's go in and code the yellow terracotta jumping segment. Now, anyone who's an experienced coder knows that 90% of it is just copy and pasting, so we can just copy and paste this function, and instead of having it be magenta glazed terracotta, we change it to yellow glazed terracotta, and instead of giving it speed, we give it jump boost, and we give it for 1 second, because you don't need it as long, because once you jump, you don't need it again, and we'll make it jump boost 5, so you can get way up there in the air. And while we're here, we might as well put in some quality of life things. Weather clear, and time set day. And even if you're not going to include these in your end data pack, it's nice to have while you're at least making the data pack, so you don't need to worry about that annoying rain sounds. So we can actually test this now. If we just type /reload, it'll start reloading, and then once we get yo, you can see that if I don't mess up, you can jump all the way into the sky once you're on the yellow blocks. And we still have our running capabilities. And we can put them together, and we could do some amazing stuff, but we gotta think about the most important thing about Hot Guy, and that's the bow. So let's actually work on making the targets that can be shot. So when it comes to shooting the bow, we're going to be using the target block, and we're also going to be using command blocks. Now what we could do is have a target block, and behind it we could just write function runner colon, and then we could make up whatever function name we want, like hit, and that would be run every time we hit the target, and we can go code that later. But the problem with that is every time you hit the target, it'll run that function there and there and there, and you'd be able to rack up infinite points by shooting at the same target. So instead, we're going to save that command block, and we're going to run a different command block that takes this target block, -68, -60, 43, and fills it, -68, -60, -43, with cyan glazed terracotta. And now, when we shoot it, you can't shoot it again. And we'll use our resource pack to make this look like a better block than cyan glazed terracotta. And then we could chain that into runner.hit. And then when we shoot this, it calls the function, we can boost our score by 1, and we don't have to be able to shoot this target again. And I'm actually going to change this to target hit so that we know we're hitting a target. And now we can go back into Visual Studio and code that function. Real quick, before we transfer into Visual Studio, there's a command we need to type to be able to change the score. And what we need to do is type /scoreboard objectives, add. We're going to add a new objective, and we're going to call it TargetsShot, and it's going to be a dummy. So now that we're in Visual Studio, we can create a new function, and we can call it Targethit.mc function. All of them have to be .mc function to work. And we can put here scoreboard players, add to the nearest player at P, TargetsShot 1. And it'll add 1 to the target shot. So now if you go back into Minecraft, and real quick, you're going to want to reload this to make sure it's always active. And you are going to want to type /scoreboard objectives set display sidebar target shot. So you can get this in the corner over here. And once you've done that, you can reload. And if all goes according to plan, target shot goes up by 2. And if we were to do that again, target shot goes up to 3. Now the reason we need to use command blocks instead of just coding this in a function is because let's say we had a function with the exact same code on this command block over here. Okay, you see it's the exact same code. When we shot this target block, that one over there turns to cyan terracotta because these coordinates here are the exact same. And we can't have that happening. So when we do these coordinates, now instead of having to create a completely new function, we can just easily type these into this command block. And now we have 2 working targets that can each make the score go up without having to code a special function for each one. So that's why command blocks are nice in this case scenario. And in the real game, we'll have like 20 of them or 15 scattered around, and you'll have to shoot each individual one. And once your score gets high enough, we can code it so that something happens. Let's actually do that now. So to do this, we are going to want to make 2 new functions. The first is going to be called victory.mc function, and this is what we're going to call when your score gets high enough. But once we are done with our victory, we want to have a reset function. So reset.mc function, so that you don't need to go back and physically alter all the target blocks again. So if we go into tick.mc function, which is updating every frame, we can say execute if score of the nearest player, and the score we want to match is target's shot matches 5, then we want it to run function runner.victory. And then we want to go into victory. And what do we want to do? Well, maybe we want a title. And that's not how you spell title. Of the all players title, and then we want it to say good job. And then we want it to run function runner :reset, because we want it to run the reset function. And then the reset function, we're going to run scoreboard players set at P targets shot 0. And if we go back into Minecraft and we type /reload, it should trigger automatically because I have a score of 7, but it might not. Yeah, something's wrong because the target shot does not match 5. It's actually much greater than 5. So let's actually reduce my score. So scoreboard players set Nerby64 target shot to 4. And now if we do it, it'll say good job, and it'll reset back down to 0. And so now the only thing we have left to do is put in 5 target blocks and then manually type in all the commands to switch each of the cyan terracottas back into target blocks. So I'm going to do that and I'll show you the code. So all I've done here is I've copy and pasted the fill functions from each of the command blocks into the reset function, and I've switched it from setting them to glazed terracotta to setting them back to a target block. And now what happens if we reload is we take these 5 target blocks and we can shoot at them. And you can notice our score goes up each time. And we can't shoot at the same one again, it won't work. And they'll say, good job, and they'll all go back to being normal target blocks, which is exactly what we want. So in the future, I want us to code in extra features like elytras and tridents and all sorts of other fun stuff. But for now, the video is getting a little bit long. I think we'll end the tutorial here, but I just want to show you that even though it doesn't look like we've coded a lot, with a little bit of creativity, you can make it feel like a lot. So I've made a little course only using what we've learned, and I'm just going to give it a run and show you all that you can do. Let's go into game mode survival. Let's run it. Yay! So that didn't even take me that long. That was just like an hour of building. And as you can see, all of our little targets have reverted themselves, so you can play it again immediately. And that's, I think, all we're going to learn. Here's all the code that I put in. It's just these extra 5 target functions and the teleportation command. And that's about all that I have for you. So thank you all so much for watching. In the next episode, we're going to add tridents and elytras, and we're going to start building the actual map. It's going to be a ton of fun. We're going to fight a kraken in that first level. It's going to be great. So stay tuned for the next episode where we're going to learn a whole lot more.